Thanks for joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, emanating from our phenomenal studios. And we listen to you. And one of your favorites, Solomon Wilcots, joins us for this one. And Solly, great player, hard-nosed safety, football IQ off the charts, part of the SWAT team with the Cincinnati Bengals. They had a great secondary, took them all the way to the Super Bowl 23. Got into the broadcast world. Has done an unbelievable job. Television, radio, I don't care what medium, podcasting. Solomon Wilcots communicates the game of football. I love talking football with Solomon Wilcots. I could do it all day long. We talked about the Bengals' victory over the Raiders and the reasons why. We talked about the short week, what the Bengals have to do as players in that short week to take care of themselves and get ready for a battle royale against the Baltimore Ravens Thursday night in Baltimore. Solomon Wilcots knows what he's talking about. You're going to like it. Made a great decision to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from our studios that are second to none, provided by First Star Logistics. We have got one of your favorites, one of my favorites, one of the greatest guys you're ever going to want to meet. Not just a great football player, but an all-time great human being and a phenomenal communicator. That is none other than Solomon Wilcots. Solly, how you be, my man?
Dave, doing great, and always good to be on with you. Always enjoy talking ball with you as well.
Same here, same here. So, you think the Bengals are going to be able to crawl out of the hole that they dug, Solly? I mean, hung 41 on the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders have had good performances in terms of defensive performances, but the Bengals kind of took them apart a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, look, the Bengals offense, as you well know, they're plugged in, because they have a leader in Joe Burrow who is so single-mindedly focused on being as good as he reminds me of a young Peyton Manning. And our Tom was that way. I got to call their games when they were very young, when they were rivals. I'm telling you, you couldn't get a smile out of those guys in the production meetings. Because they were so singularly focused on getting wins. They cared about what the product looked like. They cared about their performance on Sunday. They cared about winning for their organizations. I'll never forget, and as you well know, the Colts and Houston Texans, they played each other because they were in that same division. They had just started that AFC South division. And David Carr, remember Fresno State? He was the first overall pick in the 2002 draft. Well, Peyton was the first overall pick in the 1998 draft. And I remember we were doing a game. They were playing in Houston, and everyone knew that was an expansion team. And I remember we were in the production meeting. And Peyton looked at. He said, "Solomon," he said, "This David Carr guy, don't he have to start winning? Is that guy going to have to start winning?" He said, when I was the first overall pick, I felt like I had to win. This guy gets to walk around losing all these games, and nobody seems to care. He was like, doesn't he have to start winning sooner or later? I remember. I was like, you're right, Peyton. Yeah, you're right. But no one has to tell Joe Burrow that.
Right.
He intuitively knows that. And so we're very fortunate to have him. And I just hope that we have other people, continue to have other people in that locker room who are like-minded, who have the same intensity, the same focus, and the same work ethic, because it's going to be required if they're going to fulfill the promise of winning a championship with him as their quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, he's special. There's no doubt. Talking to him, I got an opportunity to do a one-on-one with him in the locker room after the game, and I said, Joe, looking at you down the stretch of that football game, you hung 41 on them. You're up comfortably at the time. When you started to have some look on your face. You're up 4 scores. You end up winning by 3 scores.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, man, halfway through the third quarter to the beginning of the fourth quarter. He said, we played well 2.5 quarters, but that stretch, I just couldn't shake it. And of course, he had the pick six, and that was staying with him. But in that stretch, they punted the football on a 3-and-out. They punt again, the pick six, and then another 3-and-out. And those 4 possessions ruined his day. He couldn't get over the fact that he is such a perfectionist. Those things killed him, man. They killed him.
I could see it. You could tell it bothered him.
Yep.
Now, that's a good thing. It didn't impact his performance. I think it should bother you to the point of saying, hey, guys, let's get it together. And everyone knew, and you saw they came back and hit the 47-yarder to Mike Gesicki. I think for him, that made it a little bit better, right? Because it was the same play. They literally dangled the cheese over there for Jack Jones, right?
Yep.
And they gave him the same play, and he bit on it and left the guy wide. So, got to give there was some gamesmanship going on there, as you well know. And the Bengals, I love the sense of humor. I love the understanding. Like, okay, you're going to do that, we'll show you something.
Yeah.
And they righted the ship for what could have turned really bad. They didn't let it get worse. I like the fact that it bothered him.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I like the fact that you and I know there were some things that were supposed to happen on that play that didn't happen.
And he never
every single one of his interceptions, on at least for now, and not that he doesn't throw interceptions, but he was betrayed by trusting the others.
Yep.
On every single one of them so far. He's thrown 4 this year. Every single one of them, he was betrayed, but he would never tell you that. He would never let on to that. And it is those moments that I appreciate Joe Burrow even more.
So, Solly, in support of Joe Burrow, let's cover him again just for a little bit longer. 5 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers.
Yeah.
He completed passes to 9 different receivers, and he was down to only 4 receivers that were up and healthy. He had guys that were deactivated because of injury.
Yeah.
And I mean, Gesicki was his 5th, and he stepped up big. He had an average 20 yards on 5 catches and 2 touchdowns. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. But whoever's out there, Joe is going to make it work. And the thing that impressed me the most, when he's extending and creating like he does, to have the timing to still put the ball in a timely fashion to where they're going to be when he hasn't really worked with them as much as these other receivers, that to me is such high level. I'm like, this guy is amazing. I mean, for him to, create and extend, find a guy, haven't really had a whole lot of reps with him, and put it right where you need to, he's unbelievably good.
He's so good that unfortunately, we get sort of lulled into this belief that we're better than what we really are. I'm going to be – now, I know you know where I'm coming from with this.
Oh, right? Yeah.
He's so good that now we start to think that we don't have to do the little things anymore because Joe's going to save us, right? If we don't tackle the way we're supposed to, if we don't cover, we score a touchdown, then we just give one up immediately, right? We let the other team walk right down the field on the opening drive. But Joe, we got Joe. He's going to save us, right? And it's just, I'm talking little things like pursuing the ball, man, taking good angles, making tackles, right? Holding on to the football, right? He is really good. And good quarterbacks of his caliber does elevate his team.
Yep.
But I think we're starting to sort of confuse what that really looks like and what it really means. You and I both know, Dave, quarterbacks need more help to do their job at a high level than any other position on the field.
True.
If you don't have an offensive line, the quarterback can't be good. If you don't have guys catch it when you throw it to them and good receivers who can separate in man-to-man coverage, quarterback can't be good. If you don't have a run game to give some balance and something that can make them bite on play action, quarterback can't be good at his job. If you don't have a defense to, get the ball back for you or get a stop. I still remember Tom Brady jumping up and down, when, Malcolm Butler got the interception against Russell Wilson in Seattle in that Super Bowl. Because all he could do is sit and hope that defense got to stop.
Yeah. That's
one less Super Bowl trophy if they don't get that stop. Tom Brady did his job. He can be as good as he wants to be, but if you don't get the stop, what does it matter? Nobody's ever going to remember.
Yeah.
that you were good. One Super Bowl, Tom Brady had 500 yards and 5 touchdown passes against the Eagles. He went home a loser that day. No one talks about that Super Bowl. That's one less trophy that he has. It tells you quarterbacks can be great, but they cannot win these games by themselves. And we just have to stay cognizant of that and not be so overly confident because we have this great young man who takes it seriously, who's going to dot every I, cross every T. The guy is so careful about making sure he's ready. He goes to bed at 8:00 at night. It's like I want to say, oh, yeah, okay, you don't have to quite do that, but that's his regiment, right? That's his in-season thing. He's giving everything that he has to be the best that he could be. Man, he just need a few people to join that, right? Organization, the team, the town, everyone needs to know this young man's doing everything he can to help this organization to be a winner.
So, Solly, you mentioned, supporting a quarterback with a running game. The last 4 weeks, the Bengals were dead last in the NFL rushing the football in terms of yards gained over that 4-week period. Yeah. Against the Raiders, Chase Brown busted out 27 carries, career high, 127 yards, or 120 yards, career high, 5 catches for 37 more yards, 157 scrimmage yards, career high. I mean, 32 touches, 157 yards, pretty nice day.
Hey, and here's the one thing I knew about him from I watched him at Illinois. I was able to, he's tough. He's a bowling ball.
Yeah.
And he can handle it 25 touches, 25 carries, and maybe five or six more touches in the receiving game. He can do that. And we're learning more about him because I want to see him do it and hold on to the football. And he did that.
Yeah.
He did that in this game, right? And that's what you really want. You want the high level of productivity, but you don't want that. You don't want the liabilities that can come with some runners. The more you touch it, that inevitable one play is going to happen, right? But not with Chase Brown. And so it was great without Zach Moss to see that he could carry the workload. I was very much impressed with what he gave us in the run game. And I was impressed that Zach was willing to continue to feed him, that we didn't abandon the run game. I could show you a lot of play callers around this league that all you need to do is give them one excuse to not run it.
Right.
They're like, see, our guys are hurt, can't run it, And, they continued to go ahead and give the running game an opportunity to work. And I just thought that was really impressive.
After the Raiders touchdown drive, and this one's an interesting stat that I read. This is the first time this year in the National Football League that both teams offensively on their first possession had drives of 10 or more plays. The Raiders go 11 plays for a touchdown. The Bengals went 13 for a touchdown. After that Raiders touchdown, they punted the football, kicked a field goal, they punt, they fumble, they punt. They have 3 straight 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
They get stopped on downs. They fumble again. I mean, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight possessions where they fumbled twice, and Logan Wilson recovers both of them. He hadn't recovered a fumble in his career, and he gets 2 in the football game. What did you see, Solly? What did you see out of the defense after that first drive that changed?
Still a lot of room in the zone coverages where Jacoby Myers kind of had a lot of space to operate. Brock Bowers, you could tell he's the real deal now. You could tell this guy's, but they clamped down. The Bengals really I thought they started to swarm better. I thought they started to tackle better. I thought they started to win the line of scrimmage so much better than they did on that first drive. And from there, it was really, it was very clear that we were going to win because I could tell the way the defense was playing. They were dominating. And Trey Hendrickson, like his hustle, his ability to just outwork you was just so apparent that no matter who they were going to block him with, because I think they started having some injuries, you could tell that the Bengals outclassed them. From one end of the line all the way to the other, that they were not going to be able to win at the line of scrimmage at the point of attack. And Trey Hendrickson led the way. He really did. He had 4 of their 5 sacks on the day. Just continue. he's the kind of guy that's a closer. You and I know this. The best pass rushers do their best work late in games to close it out, to finish it off. When the other team has to throw, we put them in that known situation where we know what they're going to do. And then the great pass rushers have a way of seizing the opportunities in those moments, and they start racking them up, man. They already know they're coming late in the game, and he did just that. And it was good to see that for him. It really was, because he's deserving, I think, to be mentioned among Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, we need more wins in order for his productivity to equate to a Defensive Player of the Year award, but he's one of the great sack leaders and sack artists in our game. Top 5 for sure.
You know, I saw him in the locker room today, and I said, you know what? You got their coaching staff fired. I mean, Antonio Pierce said, look, you didn't make any adjustments to block this guy. He's running our guy over. He's throwing him around like a rag doll, and you don't give him any help. I mean, you know, 3 of his 4 sacks were, you know, down the stretch, like you said, in the second half. And, you know, they lost 2 tackles during the course of the game. He fired his coordinator, fired his quarterback coach, fired his offensive line coach. It's like, whoa. I mean, Trey Hendrickson cost a lot of people their jobs, man, as it turned out. But, I mean, that was crazy. I thought 2 players, you mentioned Brock Bowers, they had to control him. They had to control Crosby on the other side of the football. Contained both of those guys. They did a really good job. Bowers had the touchdown catch late.
Yeah.
He was not a big factor until the game was well decided.
Yeah.
And man, they did a good job on Crosby. I mean, he basically, you know, he had a tackle for loss when he shot inside one time. But I mean, Mims, he blocked him one-on-one quite a bit and did an outstanding job.
Yeah, I thought Max Crosby took extra few steps to kind of put a hand on Joe. I would just say, look, if somebody hits your quarterback late or somebody hits your quarterback and a whistle is blown, the guy's got to pay the piper.
Yep.
Just talking to the big 5 guys up front.
Yep.
Touch my quarterback after the whistle, you're gonna have a problem. Now I don't know. That's just the way that we grew up in the game, Dave.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We grew up in a game where if you blitzed our quarterback in a preseason game, there was going to be some recompense. You know, we had to. And I just think that takes the camaraderie of your team to a whole nother level. And Joe Burrow needs to be protected in that way. And I just think, you know, the 5 guys on the field, somebody touches your quarterback after a whistle is blown. I don't care if it was an echo of the whistle. I don't care. You don't do that. It turns into a different kind of performance if you do that. And so I just want to say that because I was not happy to see Max Crosby get away with it. I know he was apologetic, but he still did it again, didn't he?
You know, and they didn't throw a flag. There was no flag. It's like, what? I mean, the guy's standing right there.
So,
it's like,
no, look. Yeah. I know the league we played in, players took care of stuff like that. And that'll make them throw the flag.
Yeah.
Because it says to the referees, if you won't protect our guy, we will. Right? If you won't do it, we will. You've got to protect your quarterback. You don't let him get a free shot on Joe because the whistle had blown.
Yep.
You don't get to uncontrollably still go get him and hit him anyway. The whistle had blown.
Yeah.
Period. So I'll end it on that.
you know, when watching Crosby and Hendrickson both, they remind me of the guy who was a walk-on in your college program who played every single snap at practice like it was the Super Bowl, but didn't have a great skill set. This guy has that kind of an attitude with an elite skill set, both of them. And it's like, oh my gosh, man. I mean, they're as high a caliber in terms of the physical traits, checking all the boxes, and then the intangibles of, man, I'm a dog. I'm coming every single snap as hard as I can. You can't do anything about it.
That in that position, so important, like to those traits that you just described, so important to the position. You know, I was covering a lot of games when J.J. Watt came into the league. I think he was a 2011 draftee. He was 10th overall. And I think might have been the year before, maybe a couple of years before. First overall pick was Jadeveon Clowney for the Houston Texans. And you could see it. Here's a guy with all this raw ability.
Right.
But he don't have that guy's motor.
Right.
You don't have. I used to love talking with J.J. Watt. He's still to this day is one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
And it's about his. Yeah, I don't know if you know what happened. He was at Wisconsin. He ended up having to leave. He was working selling pizzas. He ended up going to Central Michigan. But there was a time when he was selling pizzas. I remember talking to him about that. He said, "Let me tell you something, man. At that moment, I missed the game so much. He said, I prayed that if I ever get a chance to play this game again, I was going to take advantage of every moment, every opportunity, his love for the game came back to him to the point that he would go to Central Michigan or Western Michigan. And the guy was a top 10 pick out of there, right?
Right.
Tells you what a good player he was. And, wasn't able to go back to Wisconsin, but he got an opportunity to play. And man, he played with his hair on fire. His effort, his energy, his enthusiasm. Those are the things that does not require talent.
Right. Right.
You don't need talent. And that's what Trey Hendrickson brings. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent because he does. This guy he's technically sound. He's beautiful to watch.
He is.
But what separates him from the other guys who might be a first overall pick or all these other accolades, all this other ability, what separates him is this love, this energy, this effort, this enthusiasm, this engine that I'll take him over the guy with all that other stuff every single day of the week.
No question. Big old heart, man.
Yep.
Heart, loves the game and wants to do everything he possibly can. All right, so let's talk about the upcoming opponent, Solly, the Baltimore Ravens, and you're familiar with them, obviously. AFC North rival. Last time the Bengals lose in overtime, it's an instant classic. Both quarterbacks put on a show. Lamar Jackson just comes off a perfect quarterback rating in his last football game. I think he was like 16 for 19 on the season. His quarterback rating is 120, over 120. He's thrown for almost 2,380 yards, 68% completion percentage, 9.33 per attempt, almost a first down every time he throws it, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's taking care of the football, Solly. That used to be a little bit of a knock.
Yeah.
He's taking care of the football, right?
Oh, look, I think he's one of only 5 players in NFL history to, have that quarterback passer rating of, where he is in terms of his completion percentage and his passer rating through the first 9 games of a season. He's only one of, maybe 5 players in NFL history. He's only one. I think he's one of one to have as many perfect games as he's had so far in his career with the passer rating. So when you start talking about a quarterback that, hey, keep him in the pocket, force him to throw from the pocket, while that was once true, he's proven now to be so much better in that area. The thing that was his kryptonite is now he's doing it at a much higher level with a higher level of efficiency. That there's not one thing that you can point to and say, here is what he can't do. And I've always said, people are sleeping on Lamar. He said, you got to be a pocket passer. You got to be this. And I said, look, this guy's not Peyton Manning. He's not Tom Brady, but they're not him. He could do some things that they couldn't do.
Right.
And they may be able to do some things that he can't do, but he can do some things they can't do.
Right.
Allow him to play his game while getting better at the things he needs to improve upon. And that's what, if you can take away anything, this is what a coach, a organization, top down, looks like when they fully support their player. When they fully support, regardless of what the outside noise is, what everybody was saying contractually when he was trying to negotiate his own contract, and he did.
Right.
When he was, John Harbaugh has clearly supported Lamar. Has clearly told people what a great player he is. Has clearly advocated for him.
No doubt.
And the player has proven him right.
Yep.
And all we need as players to be planted in the right garden, be attended to by the right people, And players need to be, they need people to put an arm around them sometime because it ain't going to always go well, And he was drafted by the right team, by the right coach, who's just really pouring the things into him that needs to happen for him to elevate his game. And he's just getting better and better and better. And to the point where he's becoming unstoppable. I mean, we're talking 80% completion rate. We're talking about, and they're getting more weapons around him. So he's throwing the ball with great accuracy, out of the pocket, inside the pocket. He can read blitzes. He can read coverages. And they can run the ball. There's nothing that he can't do. Steve Young often talked about a player of his ability. If they learn to do the other things, they'll become unstoppable. And Steve Young was right. It's kind of what we're seeing right now.
No question. So, I mean, he's run the ball for over 500 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's complimenting Henry, who's already rushed it for over 1,000. I mean, that's a 1-2 punch. Both of them are averaging at least 6 yards a carry. He's averaging 6. Henry's averaging 6.3. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Bengals did a good job on Henry, Solly. 14 carries for 41 yards, a little less than 3 yards a carry, and then all of a sudden he busts one for 51 at the end of the game, set him up for that chip shot field goal. But, man, King Henry and Lamar Jackson, that's a 1-2 punch that's a tough one to defend, isn't it?
Bengals did a great job. You're right. It is tough. And, that run game, this is why it's so important. I kind of hear the analogy what coaches talk about. It's like chopping down a tree. You're swinging that axe. It don't come down with one swing.
Right.
You keep swinging. You keep chopping. You keep swinging. Next thing you know, timber on the 40th swing or whatever number it is. Sooner or later, it's going to crack. It's going to break, and then it's coming down. That's what the Ravens do to NFL defenses when it comes to Lamar, particularly when it comes to Derrick Henry. He's not quick at changing directions. If you make him stop his feet, you got him, man. That's why everyone has to keep coming. You do not want to break down against him. You just want everyone has boom, boom, boom. Just continue to attack. You overwhelm him and let him try to duck and dodge. Make him be the guy that changes the course of direction. But if you stop, he's going to keep going. He's going to get coming downhill, and he's just going to be like on a rail and just crease your defense. Every time he breaks one, take a look at no one made him stop his feet. No one made him redirect. And he got that momentum, and he's like a bowling ball through pins. He's just knocking them all down. But if you make him stop his feet, you make him change his course of direction, he loses that momentum. And then it's hard for a big man like that to regain his momentum and stop, and then gain his momentum to where he can bowl you over. He won't be able to do it. But you got to force that energy toward the sideline. You don't want that energy coming downhill at you. You keep him running toward the sideline. You have to make him change directions, make him stop his feet. That's why you need containment on the perimeter, and you need somebody filling the gap. You need people courageous enough to attack him. Don't let him attack you. And but you got to do it as all 11, right? This is not a one-man thing. I really believe this. You give me 11 hyenas, 11 tough dudes.
Yeah.
One man can't beat 11 guys for 60 minutes. Can't do it. I'm just telling you, can't do it. If you give me 11 guys with bad intentions, arriving at the ball with bad intent, saying, not today, bruh. I'm telling you right now, he can be had. That you and I know it's not about how to, it's about want to when it comes to tackling and playing defense against the run. You got to have technique. There's no doubt about that. But these guys know that. They're at a professional level. Now it's about bringing your want to the ballpark that day.
So, Solly, defensively, the Ravens are giving up less than 76 yards a game on the ground, number one in the NFL. They're giving up 3.4 yards per carry, number one in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But they're dead last against the pass, 281 yards a game. And they're giving up 7.95 per pass attempt. When you stop the run like that, how the heck is everybody throwing the ball so well?
because they're not good cover guys. This is not right now. They're not good cover guys. They're giving up a lot of plays.
A lot of chunks, man.
Okay. Marlon Humphrey's a good cover guy.
Yeah.
I think the Nate Wiggins kid, who's a rookie, I think he's been out, but I think he's going to be good. I like his tenacity. I like his speed. This is the league, man. Everybody's got to cover. No, there's no more in the box safety, half field safety. And they've got some safeties who I don't think doesn't do a good job of covering. I don't think they run really well. I don't think they match up really well, particularly in space. I don't care how high you're drafted in this league. People got to recognize what you do well, and they got to recognize what you don't do well, and then you got to make them earn it. And I think that's what teams are doing. They've got some pieces that have been drafted high, that have been signed to big contracts, and they're just not. Our league continues to evolve. You put people in space, and they get exposed. And I got to believe if we're healthy at the wide receiver position and we have all hands on deck, it should be another explosive game for Joe Burrow. I really do believe that. Now, they're also not doing a good job of getting pressure on the opposing quarterback, Dave. So I think that's lending itself to that, to their overall problem of being one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL right now.
They've got 6 interceptions. Humphrey has 4 of them. But I don't think I've ever seen this. Humphrey has 4 interceptions for no yards. The 6 total interceptions, 1 yard on a return. 6 picks for 1 yard. I mean, it's like that is crazy, man. You think about the Baltimore Ravens. One of the first things you think about, besides Lamar, is that defense, man, the linebacker. And they do still have, a heck of a linebacker. This dude is like, he's everywhere. He's a tackling machine.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of him is going to be a big factor, in the football game. The Bengals are going to have to get that done. But man, the last game, it proves it. It was a shootout. Both teams never really get stopped. Neither defense could stop the offense the first time they matched up.
Yeah, look, and Lamar is a tough out. Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers has had over 100 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. They just added Deontay Johnson, the former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver.
Yep.
Rashad Bateman, as you well know, he's a former first-round pick. So they've got a trio of receivers that can now do, I think, force you to cover. And I love their tight ends. Isaiah Likely, he's kind of like a Mike Gesicki, bigger body guy, but very good in the receiving game as a pass receiver. And Mark Andrews, he's like their franchise leader in touchdown reception. So tells you what he can provide. He's a real thoroughbred at the tight end position. So our work's going to be cut out for us because we got to stop the run and the pass equally. Their work is going to be cut out. This could be a big time show. I think they scored 79 points combined, 79 points in that week 5 game. And almost 1,000 yards total offense. So it's going to be a shootout. I do think both quarterbacks are competitive and they're trying to score on every single possession. So that's what you have. Lamar is a great competitor. He is exceptional. And Joe Burrow is equally competitive. Joe is trying to score every time they take the field. I love that about him.
Right.
He gets it. He gets the way this game is supposed to be played and how you don't concede anything. And that's why when these two play, the games are extremely special because you have 2 great competitors at the quarterback position that have the ball in their hand on every single play.
Solly, you nailed it. In the first matchup, the 3 tight ends for the Ravens, 10 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now Flowers is playing at a really high level, and they get, additional weapons. And then on the other side of it, Chase and Higgins. Higgins has to make this football game. Chase and Higgins combined for 19 catches, 286 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 2 each. Got to have those guys, man. Got to have both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be great to have them both and even have the others, Yoshi Vosh, Burton, Irwin, I mean,
Jones, Charlie Jones, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Charlie Jones, get him back as well. Yeah, I'd love to have them all.
Yep.
And just because I think it's about matchups, right? You don't know when it's going to go to the tight ends, when it's going to go to the back coming out of backfield, and you don't know if it's one of the wide receivers. Like the way that they goaded the entire defense to get Gesicki wide open on a 47-yard catch and run. I mean, that's because the receivers are such a threat. They fake that little bubble screen to Jamar, and they see that little arc, and they're going to go bite it and pick it off and leave a man wide open. I just thought it was clever. I just thought it was smart to come back and nail him on that one. So it tells you Cincinnati Bengals I don't think we've yet to see them play their best. But I think down the second half of the season, this is a team that's always played hard, always willing to give you their best, no matter what their records show. And look, they're still in the hunt, but you got to start taking down some teams inside of your division. I think it starts with the Thursday night game in Baltimore.
Solid. Let me ask you, you played Thursday night football. I didn't. They had it like around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, but it'd only be like a couple of teams. It wasn't the whole, everybody didn't do it all season long. Yeah. So short week. What's the biggest challenge, a short week that the Bengals are facing right now on the road?
Just getting your body, just making sure that you're healthy. You got to get really good rest. There's no Tuesday off now. You've got to really get your rest, got to get off your feet, make sure you get your legs back, right? And you want to get rid of any of the soreness. So you want to sweat out that, what they call lactic acid, that brings you soreness.
Yep.
And then you got to travel out of here on Wednesday. So it's a really short week because you're on the road. And then you just want to make sure you get to where you need to be, make sure you're getting your rest, getting proper sleep. The good thing about it is the game is played at night and you're in your hotel room most of the day for an away game. Home game is different because family members want this or that. So when you're away, you get to be in your room the entire day, get your rest before you head over to the stadium. So I found I was able to focus better on the road because, because the family wasn't, hey, can we do this? Can you do this? Can you, So when you were there, you were sequestered and it was kind of a little bit easier. But that's at least the ideal way to make sure that you're ready and rested and ready to go.
And showing leadership after the game, Joe and Trey said to the guys, hey, Thursday night football, no steak dinners tonight, no going out celebrating, guys. Get home, get to bed early. Let's get ourselves ready for this football game. So they're in the right mindset that you're describing there. Yeah. I mean, if they can get this done, now they have a long week and go to the West Coast to play the Chargers and then the bye. So I mean, it could fall into place pretty well. And the Bengals sat, guys like Orlando Brown, Higgins, and guys like that to get them ready for this game on Thursday night, and then another long week before the Chargers and then the bye. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for sure. But what do you think, if you off the top of your head had to pick a key or two, a must for victory against the Ravens in Baltimore, what would you pick, Solly?
Play with the lead. Play with the lead. Because that minimizes the importance of Derrick Henry. Yep. I'm not saying, we played with the lead last time. They started with the lead, that's why we did such a good job on him. But once they got it back to even and we're in overtime, now they can feel comfortable handing it to him again. And that's when he broke off the long one.
Right.
Playing with a lead against this team is, I think, very critical. I think they are not as comfortable playing from behind. Knowing that they really want to run the football. You know how teams you really test their resolve to stick with the run game if they're trailing on the scoreboard. So I think that's first. Secondly, you've got to contain Jamar. You can't look, he's gonna try to you can't let him break containment. It's got to be like a must rush. Get too far up the field. He's going to dip underneath you, and then he's going to come out, and now he puts the coverage in really a difficult spot.
Yep.
He wants to hold it till things break down, till things clear up. because you can't cover all day. And I would just say, man, you got to plaster. You've got to, it's going to turn into man-to-man, but you can't leave guys, and you got to keep eyeballs on him. So you're not going to be able to play a lot of man. I think you can play man under and spy Lamar. But you're not going to be able to play a lot of man coverage, because this guy, it's just like, remember when Joe Burrow in the Monday night game against the Giants, the underneath coverage turned their back to him because they were in man coverage. He just took off and ran.
Yep.
Lamar will do the same thing to you. He'll crease you.
Yep.
So these quarterbacks are so talented that there are some limited things that you can do. But you don't want to play a whole lot of man coverage. Now, if you're going to play man, you better get a free rusher, and that free rusher better tackle. To me, it's about tackling Lamar Jackson. You got to be able to tackle him, and you got to be able to tackle Derrick Henry. It can get done. You know, we are football players. It's not an impossible task.
Yeah.
But you and I both know those are the things that are really critical. You know, sometimes we like to make it seem like there's these bigger things, but it's this fundamental essence. You got to be a good tackler if you're playing the Ravens, because Zay Jones, he's electric. He's slippery, right? Lamar's slippery. And the other guy's just the Brahma bull. who's going to bloody your nose.
Yeah.
I remember making a tackle one time. It was Ernest Mack. He came, not Ernest. It was Kevin Mack. He came up through there, and I remember Coach Cowher. He was like, great tackle. You know how Coach Cowher comes out there spitting.
Right.
And then he was like, your nose is bleeding. It's like, great tackle. He's like, your nose is bleeding. Great tackle, but all of this is bloody.
I agree with everything you said. I'm going to add one T, and that's turnovers. And turnovers you can pick every week. But against a team like this, there's only going to be 7, 8, 9 possessions. You can't give one up. You can't give one up. And if you give one up and give them an extra one and let them have the ball again, the way they can have the ability to control the football, man, you gotta hold on to the football. Ball security, man. You can't turn the football over against these dudes.
Good stuff. They do shorten the game. They shorten the game. Typically, you're going to get 10, maybe 12 possessions in the game. I think yesterday, against the Raiders, they might have had about 13 offensive possessions, right?
Right.
Against the Ravens, is anywhere from 8 to 9.
Right.
Just tell you that right now.
Yep.
Because they're going to keep it. They're going to keep it, right? And so you got to keep it, and you got to make every last one of them count. It's a premium on possessions.
Yep.
And so if you get a turnover, if he gives you one like he gave us in overtime, right? He gave us one. That's when I thought, we're going to put this game away. But we couldn't hold the kick, for right. Evan McPherson. So
yep.
That one still hurts, by the way.
Big time. Big time. I feel pain as well, Solly.
Yeah.
Solly, I'll tell you what, as always, I could do this seriously for like 2 hours, man. I've taken way too much of your time, and you're so kind about it. And I appreciate you. But this is unbelievable stuff. Really enjoy it. There's nobody better to talk football with than my man Solomon Wilcots.
Well, it's always great talking ball with you as well. Go Bengals! We got to get this one, and then next thing you know, we'll be at 500. I'm still believing, though. I'm still buying stock. I'm not selling yet, Dave. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, Solly. I got you. I love it.
All right, baby. Take care.
Hey, man. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.